Hey. It's the week ahead. It means it's time to look ahead at the week ahead. Welcome to Fantasy NBA Today podcast, a sports ethos presentation. Yours truly. The flagship show of Fantasy NBA Today, the week ahead to the head. The week ahead is here. I'm here with FSWA Hall of Famer Steve Dr. A. Alexander, and today, as the show name would entail, we are trying to get ahead of the week ahead and the chaos that's about to ensue. But before we get into all of that, let's get into our sponsor. It's good graces. Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting in 2025, as opposed to carrier pigeon betting. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA to college to NHL and UFC. Kind of wishing they would just expand that list to everything in the world. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source, from every three-pointer to hat trick. BetOnline has you covered for odds, stats, and more every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Hi, BetOnline, we love you.
Steve. Let's get out ahead of the week ahead.
Yeah, let's do it. It's the week ahead. The week ahead.
The week ahead.
We're on one. We have problems. Doc's kid may or may not have been born. Not your kid, your grandkid. Might as well be your kid. I mean, you're gonna be grandpappy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be doing diapers again.
No,
not
my problem.
I love it. But they're so much fun.
Maybe
so
I might change the diaper.
I think you're gonna. Okay, over under. I'm taking that. Whatever the odds are, you're changing the diaper. For old time's sake.
At some point, I'm going to be left alone with this child. At some point, for like a day. And on that day, I will probably be changing a diaper or two.
You're not going to wait till the last possible second? Be like, maybe she'll show up. Maybe
I'm not going to be setting my alarm for 3 a.m. to go down there and feed babies and change diapers.
But they're so cute.
It's sort of like with Sports Ethos podcast. I'm like, hey, if you guys need me, I'll be there. Otherwise, I won't.
Wait a second. That cuts deep, dude. You're saying you don't love and plan your entire life around the Sports Ethos podcasts?
I plan actually, the only thing I plan in my life is around Sports Ethos podcasts. Everything else, I just wing it.
Excellent save, sir. You must be a married man. Speaking of nothing having to do with what I was previously talking about, the week ahead is the episode. The week ahead is the episode that we get you ready for the week ahead, and we usually talk about streaming and teams with back-to-backs and just generally get you ready for the week ahead. It is our flagship episode, folks. Everybody loves it. And this upcoming week, we have a lot of basketball being played with 18 teams that play 4 games.
Thank
so, I mean. Yeah. I mean,
all-star stuff has just been brutal.
It's a weird little social experiment. I mean, aside from the game itself, which I can't even talk about without like getting I almost throw up in my mouth thinking about like what happened there. But there was this break, and then it's like, okay, I feel like a crack addict. Where's my basketball? And then you kind of get used to it a little bit. You're like, oh, hey, there is an outside world.
And then they notice the All-Star break gets longer and longer. Like, I feel like it gets longer every year. It used to be like 3 or 4 days.
Well, they did make a big hullabaloo about giving everybody a week off, but just as you're getting ready for that, you're getting normalized to that, then all of a sudden they go, boom, here's 5 million basketball games all at once, and take that. And that's what we've got here. So if you've got teams that only play 3 games, you're at a disadvantage. There's 12 of those, and 18 teams play 4 games. We got 3 teams that play 2 back-to-back sets: Minnesota, San Antonio, Detroit. My sort of napkin math on that is that maybe this is adverse to Asar Thompson. It'll be interesting to see if that's the case or not, or if he's just going to go in these back-to-back sets. But like San Antonio, not so worried about that. Overall, Minnesota, not so worried about that. Overall, we have 16 teams that have a single back-to-back. So that's pretty much, as it goes, kind of like, I don't know, it's half the league. It's not the whole league, but it feels like the whole league. Boston, The Clippers, Oklahoma City with Chet Holmgren, the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, Boston with, basically everybody. These are teams that would be with players that might be adversely affected by the back-to-back. The Lakers, who knows? Yeah, with Doncic. You guys are going off on him the other night. That was great. Washington, with some of their veterans, would be another team to watch with the back-to-back stuff. And you have 11 teams that don't have back-to-backs, and that's noteworthy for teams like Portland. You got Donovan Clingan, who you want to see play a lot. You have Robert Williams, who's sort of a question mark. And if he was to scoot through Portland's, what do they got? Portland's got 4 games. If he was to just sort of scoot through, I don't know if the Sunday and the Monday on the bread portion of that sandwich work against this idea. But these players like Philly with Joel Embiid, if they're not in back-to-back games, they're more likely to play. So that's actually helping them out. Milwaukee, another team with no back-to-back. Yep. So just things to know. And this is a really weird week in the sense that because there's a lot of games, there's only a few low games played days. Yeah, like Thursday and Saturday, 5 and 6 games. That's the lowest amount of games you're going to get this week. So it's just full of basketball, and it's pretty equally distributed: 8, 7, 9, 10, and 9 for the rest of the week. And even like a 7 or an 8 game day, maybe you can find some streaming action there. So lots to go through. The top streaming team this week is Charlotte. They have a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back, and then they play on Thursday and Saturday, making them the top premium streaming team for the week. So we're going to spend some time there. Then we'll jump over to some Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday teams and just kind of like, wiggle our way through this streaming discussion that you guys love so much that this is our flagship episode of Fantasy NBA Today. The week ahead. Charlotte, we talked a lot about them yesterday. What are you doing with this mess of players in Charlotte? This seems like fertile streaming territory, eh?
Yeah, Josh Green was very, very good on Thursday. Nick Smith Jr. was okay on Thursday. My guy, Damian Baugh, my new favorite little diamond in the rough, Damian Baugh, played well. I'm going to sneeze, Brew. I think I'm going to sneeze.
Damian Baugh played
so
well.
If Damian Baugh...
I wonder if the cure for sneezing and or the hiccups is singing. Nobody's ever told me that. Like, if you're going through hiccups, that you just start singing and they go away. It's an interesting sort of word. Okay,
I'm out on Elfrid Payton. I'm kind of in on Yusuf Nurkic, and I want Mark Williams to be okay and ball out for this team.
Yeah, what a weird situation. I mean, they really went over the top to say both publicly that he passed his physical, and then to play against the team that said he failed the physical was just interesting behind the scenes stuff. And hopefully that continues, that Mark Williams could just be a fantasy guy the rest of the way.
And
Yusuf Nurkic
moves to Diabate because there's 3 dudes now.
I mean, the Williams stuff is hard to deal with unless you can manage games played within your format. He's going to be good, probably. I say that because who knows with the injury stuff, if it goes bad, if it goes south, if they don't want to push him. Those are obviously reasons that can make that go bad. But theoretically, he should be pretty good. But with 3 of them there, it really does complicate the matter. And Yusuf Nurkic was my top streamer here for the Charlotte Hornets, just to see if maybe he catches lightning in a bottle. Who knows, right? Like, he had a good line the other day. But he's going to probably, if this all plays out like it seems, it feels like if Mark Williams isn't playing, that Yusuf Nurkic will start and get big minutes. And then Diabate is going to play every night and just sort of filter around those 2 guys. And the problem with Diabate that, sort of kept me from being excited about him was that I didn't know if he got 30 minutes, if that would result in good stat lines. Like he comes up empty in a lot of different stat categories on a full night's worth of work. And so sad trombone sound for him. I also like Nick Smith Jr., though he hasn't been able to get it done, since the beginning part of this week. And he's had a lot of opportunity. Do you think he can be a silly season guy, Steve?
Yep, I still do. I'm hanging on to Nick Smith. I think he's going to be fine. And Josh Green was very good on Thursday. So I think the question now is when is Melo's last game going to be? When is the last LaMelo Ball game happening? Or has it already happened?
We got to play in LA, and I'm pretty sure after he hit like one of like several big shots, he screamed that this was his town. And once he got to do that, he was done with the game of basketball. He owns LA. It's his now. We could all go home. But yeah, no. Yeah, because the minute he goes, then a lot of different things open up. I think Nick Smith needs some time to kind of figure some things out on the floor and get a little bit more freedom and make those numbers a little bit more poppy. Because right now they haven't been as poppy as I would like. Seth Curry's been pretty good. That's just interesting. Like if I was going for a 1 or 2 game shot, like top 100-ish kind of. It's sometimes you need a veteran to take shots, and Josh Green's not exactly a shot taker, shot maker. He's done it a little bit in the past. Nick Smith, if he's struggling, I mean, you just need somebody who can actually put the ball in the hole, and that's Seth Curry. So lots of different options there. Hell, KJ Simpson's been getting a lot of minutes, and if he's available, and if somebody, if he's active and he's available, just kind of keep an eye out. If you're just looking for a name, a warm body to put in a lineup.
I think that's what Seth Curry is right now. His minutes in his last 3 games are 14, 16, and 13. That's tricky. But he's scoring. I mean, he's putting up, he's doing stuff while he's out there. He's just not getting very many minutes.
I don't think he can handle much more than like 16, 20 minutes at most. So he's just got an ultra green light to go out there and do whatever he wants. His dad, he's calling the game. So that's good stuff. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday teams include Dallas, Milwaukee, and Golden State. So if you're targeting to make your first ad on Tuesday, aside from the Hornets, these are your teams that you can start to target. So between Dallas, Milwaukee, and Golden State, who do you like, sir?
Max Christie is my Klay Thompson. Another interesting player you could pick up. Najee Marshall from Dallas. Kessler Edwards getting some run, playing some minutes. My guy, Olivier Maxence Prosper.
Rolls right off the tongue.
It's sort of like the B150 All-Sport promo code that you came up with. What is it? B150 All-Sport All-Star?
Dude, we said we weren't going to do this again.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay.
But
anyway.
But that's the promo code, I think.
And then you got Dante Exum. Dante Exum, I think, is worth a look. Like, really, this whole Dallas team. Everybody's already got Kyrie Irving.
Everybody's already got Max Christie in competitive 12-teamers, but not enough, I guess, actually.
And, I think Christie's floating around out there on some waiver wires. I think Klay Thompson is one of those guys that's been picked up and dropped in a bunch of leagues all year. He might be sitting out there. But, yeah, I think there are a ton of streaming options in Dallas, and I like most of them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them project to play above the cut line. You mentioned Clay, Spencer, Najee Marshall, Max Christie, all factor in above the cut line. And Exum, we were talking about him either off air and maybe even today's show. I don't even know. It's all blurring together. But like Dante Exum's never been good, but he might be good now. And I was always a Kessler Edwards guy when he was in Sacramento, and then he kind of fell off. But he's actually been decent lately. And so that's like, between them and San Antonio, there's like 8 different waiver wire pickups. If you're in a 200 player league, if you're in a deeper league, there's a ton of pickups from these teams. Anybody else in any of the other teams, like in Milwaukee and Golden State?
I'm kind of sour on Milwaukee. I mean, Brook Lopez is going to go off with Bobby Portis suspended. So make sure that Brook Lopez is not available if you're in a smaller league. Where are you with Brandon Pajemski? Like, you talk about somebody who is hit or miss, hot or cold, wishy-washy. His game log for February, his points go 8, 29, 8, 16, 9, 8, 18. And his minutes are kind of all over the place. Like, do we trust anything about Steve Kerr's rotations any more now than we did a month ago, or is it just more the same garbage?
No, they just added a player so they can run 13 out there. No, I mean, all kidding aside, I think that they're just getting organized for the playoffs, and that's going to constrict the rotation theoretically. I mean, Kerr's already, made himself a 12-man guy. But Pajemski, aside from my general, even at the peak of his hype, when he was going to take 37 3-point shots per game in Golden State, he was the apple of their eye. I still looked at the stat set, and as excited as I could get based on all of that, I said, I don't think he's going to be much more than like a top 100 or a 125 guy at best. So it's really hard to get excited anytime he goes off. And like Buddy Hield, on the other hand, like just needs the smallest amount of daylight, and then he'll put up a serviceable stat line or even a really good one, despite the fact that his defense has fallen all the way off the cliff. His shooting comes and goes. It's Buddy Hield is sort of devolving right before everybody's eyes there in Golden State. I'd almost rather have him over Pajemski. But the final nail in the coffin is that a lot of the stuff that Pajemski does is a lot of stuff that Jimmy Butler does, like crashing in for rebounds and making, additional scoring opportunities for himself and others, and maybe being a little bit a bigger fan of the mid-range game than lighting it up from 3-point. I don't think when they decided to make him a 3-point shooter, Pajemski, like a volume guy, I think he really didn't like that. And I think it really threw his season off. So I would stream Pajemski, and he might even be one of the top streaming options from these three teams. Just maybe you get lucky. You get lucky, but I'm not exactly excited about his long-term value. Taurean Prince has been kind of good lately. I think
Damian Lillard missed Friday, by the way. I didn't realize that was happening. I told people to bet it. So Lillard was out. That's gonna, with a hamstring management, so it sounds like load management, but that probably forces Kevin Porter to do a little bit more.
I was wondering if they would turn to him, because like you lose Portis and for 25 games due to taking some prescription. How's that for news, guys? Right on top of that one. I didn't really want to get into the whole like should have been suspended and blah blah blah. But Kevin Porter might replace some of the scoring that Bobby Portis was bringing for that team. But otherwise, Taurean Prince to me seems like a natural fit. He had a nice start to the season and then faded pretty precipitously after that. But I like the Dallas guys. I like Pajemski and I like Taurean Prince. Are we missing anybody from this group?
I think Kevin Porter Jr. is to the point where you keep an eye on him and just monitor what he's doing in Milwaukee.
I mean, he could definitely get a bucket. That's for sure. Now, if you miss out on Charlotte on Monday, Minnesota and Denver are pretty good alternatives because they also play Thursday, which is a quality day for streaming. So who would be your top three streamers from Minnesota and Denver?
Well, Westbrook, I think, is automatic if he's still available in your league. And then Minnesota side, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is always very interesting. Rob Dillingham, also very interesting. Naz Reid should be rostered everywhere, although he's about to take a Julius Randle hit with Randle coming back. But I would say, I think NAW and Russell Westbrook would be my top two, and then Rob Dillingham would probably be third.
I think, yeah, you nailed it. And then I would add Aaron Gordon to that list. Maybe they're trying to establish their playoff rotation now, and maybe Aaron Gordon becomes a little bit more consistent. Maybe all that time off, including the All-Star break, was exactly what he needed to get up to full speed. It's not going to be very good or anything. It never is with Gordon, but maybe you get some top 100 play there. And if you're in a very deep league, Jalen Clark has been getting minutes for Minnesota lately. I'm on my 30 deep team, and he's not very useful, but the numbers haven't been that bad. They've been kind of like top 150-ish over the last couple of weeks or so. I think they like his defense, and it's been an interesting shift for he and Shannon to be playing, and not guys like Josh Minot and what's the other guy there that's really good? I can't remember his name. Really good from a youngster perspective. I'll figure that out at some point in time when my brain turns back on. Let's see here. Before we get into our final topic, did you have any other streamers though? From we did squeeze you out there, but any other streamers from Minnesota and Denver? Okay,
you good.
All right. We're gonna talk about some risers and fallers. That's enough for the streaming stuff here, but we're gonna get into some risers and fallers. But before we do that, I want to just quickly mention that the MLB draft guide is out. These dudes, I called them the Keon Ellises, or we said we have a bunch of Keon Ellises on our team in the baseball department, and that's because they're badasses and they work really hard, and nobody knows about them. They're the sleepers of the MLB fantasy content community. This division's a couple years old. In the last year, it's really taken hold. These guys have been doing all of the hard work, the blurbs, and a lot of them are NBA guys, so we've been able to train them on how you do things and how you do things the right way and how you work hard. It's the stuff that Steve taught me and that we turned around and taught these guys. So all of that has come to fruition, and that draft guide is something that you will have that nobody else has, and that will help you win. Go check it out. There is a promo code that I totally know off the top of my head, and I will say it here shortly. I think I do know it. It will give you
150
All-Star, all support. We'll tweet the code out. Let's just say we don't know the code, and the marketing, whoever does marketing at this joint should be fired. Just get rid of that jerk. But it will give you the price of one sport. You get the all sport for the price of one sport. And we connected it at the B150 because I released the B150 over the All-Star break. So that's available to subscribers right now. You can get in, and guys, no joke, there's a ton of work that's put into this, and it's so effective to do this kind of thing at the end of the year when everybody else kind of isn't doing that. You could just get in there with the math and your projections and your ability to do this stuff. And there's so much easy money out there. So between all of those things, you can get all three passes for the price of one for 25% off for 6 months. It's $6 a month, and you guys will be coasting just like this promo is coasting along. Risers and fallers, I thought.
Our feed is filled with the promo code. It's absolutely blowing up.
Would you say it's
Can I read it?
Yeah. What is it?
B150 All Sport All Star. And that's all one word. 25% off your first 6 months of the All Sport Fantasy Pass.
There's no exclamation points in there.
That is a deal.
No pirate flags connected.
No, you didn't have to use any isn't that annoying when you set up passwords now and you have to have like an exclamation point or
I think everybody uses exclamation point there. That's just my theory. I'm not saying I do. I would never do that. Take my codes off the internet and use them against me. All right. Risers and fallers across the NBA. This one was fun because there's a ton of value on the line here. So I got some risers and some fallers, and I'm sure you do as well. Looks like we'll have some time here to go through some of this stuff. Let's start with risers. Or you want to start with risers or fallers? Are you a glass half empty or half full? What is your pessimism?
Honestly, do not care, Brew. I'm fine with starting with
either.
Either
You're a child of the movie Office Space.
Whatever works for you, bro.
Your generation watched that movie and you all quit your corporate jobs and you went and you did what you loved. And I respect that.
Yeah.
It's the way that it should be. So you say you don't care. All right.
The week ahead. Looking ahead to the week ahead.
We're not even doing that right now. We're looking at the top risers and fallers for the rest of the season.
Risers and fallers. Okay, what do we got? Okay, let's go with risers, Brew.
Okay, you do care.
Give me a
You put your foot on the skill. All right. I'll do. Let's go with an obvious one. Peyton Pritchard. I mean, Peyton Pritchard, if they start resting their main guys, they go kind of at last season's cadence. And if they also want him to win Sixth Man of the Year. And also, I don't think that, at the coaching and management level, they care too much about it, but maybe a little. But Peyton Pritchard, I mean, it feels like he could go top 50 the rest of the way.
Wow. And I'm rooting against that because I have been pushing for Malik Beasley to catch him for Sixth Man of the Year.
I'm with you, by the way.
But it's not really happening because what did he do on Thursday night? Like 28 points and 6 triples, 7 triples, 8. I think he had 8 3-pointers and 28 points. That's enough to get him through the next 10 days without being caught for Sixth Man of the Year. But Malik Beasley's been so good, man. And Pritchard standing in Beasley's way, just like Atkinson is standing in the way of your coach of the year. We're in Detroit.
Atkinson sounds like a diet, and just throwing that out there. All roads run through Detroit on this show. My favorite team. I've been a Detroit Pistons fan my whole life, and all I want to see them do, if you're hearing me, basketball gods, is just win a top 4 position in the East, because then I will win my bet. And then I will bathe in money. Like, we'll put it online. It'll be great.
I like that call on Peyton Pritchard. He's just had a good, steady year. He comes and goes. Are you still talking about Detroit? You want to talk about Detroit?
No. It's like all my plan about bathing in money and the Detroit winning and all of that. You're like, no, let's get back to Peyton Pritchard.
Well, unfortunately, I think Kenny Atkinson has ruined your dreams and hopes.
Here's how I saw it. I just want to. What I want. Here's how I saw it. I saw it exactly like this, minus the part where Kenny Atkinson wins a ton. But basically, Cleveland just buckles at the end of the season. Just buckles because they add too many players, and then they kind of like lose their mojo. And
DeAndre Hunter comes in and screws the whole thing up.
Yeah, it gets ugly, and then all of a sudden Detroit's rising up the standings, and then they all stay together. Well,
Javonte Green, things up.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets messy, and then they just basically say, "Look, man, yeah, he won with this group, but there's a lot of good players there, and look at what the little engine that could, JB Bickerstaff. Look at what he did with nothing, Cade Cunningham, and quote nothing, and." A top 4 seed. Come on, which one's a happy Hollywood ending? It's the Detroit Pistons, everybody. So that's my hope and dream there. But that makes
dude. If you win that bet, I'm sure people know, but Brew has a major award awaiting him if JB Bickerstaff can win Coach of the Year for Detroit. He's going to get paid handsomely.
Oh yeah,
and we're gonna all be eating burritos and party.
Oh yeah, it'll be a celebration show
somewhere. Yeah,
we'll get you guys burritos too. Anybody that asks, asterisk. Who else is a riser for you, sir?
I've got Brooke Lopez, my man Brolo. Bobby Portis. Bye. Brooke Lopez has to go off the rest of the way. And Milwaukee's kind of weird. Lillard misses games, and Giannis is always kind of banged up and always questionable. But Rolo's always out there getting it done. He's been hit or miss, runs hot and cold this season. But I think with Bobby Portis out, it is officially Brolo's season the rest of the way.
7 teams, or pardon me, let me cut that down. There's a top 3 tier ish, and they're spaced out. Cleveland's got 5.5 games on Boston right now. New York 8 games behind Cleveland, so you got some spacing there. Then you get into this tier. It's the Pacers, the Bucks, and the Pistons and the Magic, all within 4.5 games for the 4 through 7 slot. So one team gets out of the play-in, one team gets home court in the first round. So there's a lot to play there for, or play for there with Milwaukee. Like, I think Brook Lopez is a big piece of that puzzle. I think people are intuitively understanding that Brook Lopez might be good, but I don't know if they understand how good he is capable of being. And we're talking like top 25 good is what he has in his back pocket if it all happens the right way. Excellent call there. I'll go right to some good stuff like Josh Giddey. Giddey's, your guy, Josh Giddey, top 30 the last 3 weeks. And you got Aya DeSumo, doesn't seem healthy. Something pops up all the time with him right now. I just don't see Nick Vucevic, being the focus of what they're trying to accomplish there down the stretch. Obviously, you got no Zach LaVine. It feels like Giddey's the guy. And I don't know if anything's going to stop him. Am I over my skis, or should we expect top 30 the rest of the way?
I don't know. Rick was all fired up about the return of Kobe White, and Kobe White has not really done it. Kobe White, he's been disappointing. Buzelis has been disappointing. Vooch has kind of been sucking. Lonzo is just out there. And so it's been a lot of Josh Giddey. And I tell you what, I got a notification yesterday that Josh Giddey just got his 15th rebound. He's heating up for your team. And I was like, what? 27 points, 16 boards, 4 assists, a steal and a block, 4 triples for Giddey on Thursday night. Like, that is fact.
Is that Yahoo that did that for you? They gave you a notification that Josh Giddey?
No, ESPN. Even though I'm not in any ESPN leagues, I did a bunch of mock drafts for ESPN. So I get all these mock draft notifications.
You get a notification that he got 15 rebounds. That's nice.
Yeah.
I want to get a notification that Keon Ellis has passed the 25-minute mark. That would be great, ESPN, if you can work on that one. Okay. Who's your next riser?
I've got Max Christie, my guy, on the list. We already talked about him a little bit. Dallas. Nico Harrison's trying to save face, trying to make it look like a good trade, trying to keep everybody happy. He needs to make Max Christie look like a star. Max Christie's getting tons of minutes. And he's going to be a big part of what they do the rest of the way. So I think, it's probably too late. But if he's sitting out there in your league, go get him.
Excellent. I got one that's probably a little tough and controversial. I actually have a couple here, but maybe we'll do some honorable mentions before we get into fallers. But like Kawhi Leonard just had a big game coming out of the break. And this is like, I guess the question is like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen right now. If it's going to happen, well, it kind of feels like it's going to happen, and that he's got enough skill and enough wiggle and enough physicality to still be a high-end fantasy play. And he's been rolling at the bottom of the top 150. Every now and then he'll reach up and have a little top 75 stretch of games, and maybe even a little bit better than that, but it just hasn't happened so far. So I think people are saying, okay, we're not getting the ROI, and we're also having to deal with games off. And so in their minds, Kawhi Leonard is almost something of a late round guy, maybe a mid round guy when you attach name value to him, but nobody's thinking that he's going to go on an early round run right now. And I think that just based on what I'm seeing, aside from games off, which are going to be a thing, and they're going to be a thing kind of probably all the way till the end. That said, the Clippers are in the middle of the playoff hunt, currently back around the 6-7 seed, and that's going to mean that they have a reason to play. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So I think Kawhi Leonard could go on a big run and be much more valuable than people think. I have some other names here, but is there anybody else, Steve, that you just wanted to throw a shout out to before we get to fallers?
Jeremy Sohan. That's it. I just think he's the big winner in the Wemby bad news. I think it's gonna be him. So I'm kind of going all in on Sohan at this point.
Yeah, there's so many winners in San Antonio. Chris Paul, I think, is a big winner. Vassell, Castle, you name it. That squad, Bassey, of course. Everybody's just a winner in that situation, except for Wemby and I guess the basketball world at large. Joel Embiid is an interesting one because it's almost clear that he has taken a major step back, but does he have that in the tank? And also, by the way, Philadelphia is clinging to their playoff hopes kind of on a game-by-game, week-by-week basis right now. And let's say they walk that line and they stay in the mix for a playoff spot, and maybe the cloud that's over the top of them right now just gets a little less cloudy. Well, Embiid might just, kind of rack his way up to a decent little finish. I think people right now just think he's dead to rights, maybe a mid-round guy. Like, think the same stuff I said for Kawhi, but in a way worse position. So maybe they're looking at him as basically a mid-round guy if it all goes well. Maybe he actually does way better than that. I'm not ready to hitch my wagon to that, but I just think that in terms of risers, that's the guy that big value jumps. I think that could be it. And Ty Jerome also made my list, as well as the Washington crew. But what else is new? All right, who's your best faller? Who's falling the best? Who's flopping the best?
I feel like Naz Reid is about to take a hit because the nemesis, Julius Randle, is getting ready to come back. And Naz Reid's been killing, man. He has been killing it. But when Randle gets thrown back in the mix, it's gonna mess stuff up. It's gonna hurt. Naz Reid, it's gonna hurt. What's the kid's name?
McDaniels.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt him as well. So yeah, Julius Randle doing what he does best, mucking things up.
There's been a lot of players that have been on a tear lately that you just know that's not going to keep going on. Nas and McDaniels. Nas has been a top 10 guy for a while, and McDaniels has been a top 20 guy for a while. So it's just like guaranteed, even if Randall didn't come back, that these guys were going to have some kind of big regression. And that regression might be just like a crashing halt to their value. That's abrupt. Who else you got?
I have. Well, these are the same ones I always talk about. I mean, the LaMelo and the Zion Williamson stopwatch are on for the shutdowns. Like, I'm expecting Shams bombs to come any day now, where it's like, oh, LaMelo Ball for ankle management is out for the rest of the season or something, and Zion tweaked his back and he's out for the rest of the year. The fact that neither one of them is shut down isn't that surprising because it's only February 21st, but I think by March 1st, I will be kind of surprised if they're both still playing.
I just got into our private chat. Apparently, you guys have been talking a long time and mostly about me. Good job, guys. Let's go subtle here. I think Kelly Oubre is both like a buy kind of a player. Like, I think that it's interesting what Philly's doing with all the transactions. It feels like they're getting ready for just a whimper to end the year, is to throw a bunch of players out there that aren't the guys, the big three, with all these kind of, middling acquisitions over the last couple of weeks. But Oubre has been top 20, prior to the All-Star break, and largely because Joel Embiid's not there, Paul George is in and out, and Oubre's at 38 minutes a game or something and just getting all sorts of touches. And then if they do come together for a playoff run here and it's Joel out there and Paul George is going max, whatever he can handle right now, Oubre is going to be the guy that takes a step back. And if they keep going, I think it's going to be Oubre taking the step back. So it goes from like top 20-ish down to like top 100 at best. That's a little bit concerning if you've been riding that wave. And then same with Gershon Yabusele. He's been a top 50 guy lately. That goes out the window the minute that they get to full strength. And I think it's a very good chance it flips back to this current setting where these guys are getting a lot of opportunity, a lot of value, but there's a lot of falling potential there. Jamal Murray also hit my list. He's the number 3 overall fantasy play over the last 3 weeks. It's crazy what Jamal's done. He's just hit the gas.
He had like a 57-point game, didn't he?
He's been going off. Yeah, something like that. He's been going off. And I think that they might now be kind of coming closer to, with Russell Westbrook getting back into the fold and getting healthy, coming back into a playoff rotation. And yes, he always factors big into that. But I don't know if they're at full strength. I mean, Murray's probably back into the top 40 range with the risk of injury, of course. And so I see some falling there. You got anybody else on your list over there?
No, my list is dried up. Westbrook coming back will be interesting to monitor. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray. I think he hurts all 3 of those guys when we're getting top-notch Westbrook. And I think Aaron Gordon might be the guy he hurts the most. So that's something I want to keep an eye on going forward. If Westbrook pops and starts playing well, which he did not on Thursday, but if he starts playing well, I think Aaron Gordon's going to take a hit. So I would probably put Murray/Gordon on that list.
Well, eventually you get Peyton Watson back too. I think it's really to be a full house at that point. So a lot of risk there. Who else did I got? I got the Utah veterans. I don't know if I'm breaking any news there. Eventually these guys will not be playing anymore. And Utah is going to try to get Cooper Flagg, as they all will. Who else do I got? Oh, yeah. Here's an interesting one. Onyeka Okongwu. He had a really nice run where he was playing top 40 ball. He's had a 30-point game. He's having, just a great little stretch there. But Clint Capella's coming back. He's got Mohamed Gay there. You've got the minivan. George's Nyang. I just get that name screwed up. You got what else? Levert there. So they don't need him to score anymore. Like he can kind of just go back to his old role. And I always worry about him. He's kind of got 2 gears and he hits high gear like he's been in like 10% of the time. And it's other than that, it's like 8 and 8 with like a block, or 8 and 8 with a block and a steal. And it kind of alternates between those kinds of nights. And that's worrisome because if you held him thinking you had a top 40, asset, that's possibly a top 150 guy. So there could be a big, big fall there for Okongwu. And I generally will have a couple of Okongwus on some teams because we always want a Okongwu to happen. And just like Fetch, it never does. That's the issue there. So any other fillers?
Okongwu played 30 minutes on Thursday night against Orlando. He had 11.7 boards and a block. He didn't do a ton, but he played 30 minutes. Clint Capella only played 18 minutes in that game. He was 1 of 6 for 3 points. So, and there was also a game where Trae Young went nuts. Everybody scored in double figures for the Hawks. They just didn't need that much from Okongwu that night. I think I'm not disagreeing with you, but I don't know that I feel like Okongwu is falling. I feel like Okongwu may have been playing over his head, which I guess is the same thing that you were saying. But he's still firmly planted in front of Capella, and I think he's going to be okay the rest of the way. But interesting.
I hope so.
I hope so. He may have been playing too well.
Maybe. I like that team just exploring what they have in Okongwu because at least he has a theoretic shot at some useful upside. Whereas I think Capella was always just kind of dead to rights, and I always faded Capella, and then he would be better than what I would think. But that's that's the last 3 years. That's not right now. This is definitely a Kongwu's gig. And they're just a weird little team. Like they have a shot at the play. They have no reason not to go to the playoffs and try to make noise. And you got a guy in Trae Young who wants that action, and he might go in. I wouldn't want to play the Hawks in the first round or in a play-in game or anything like that. I mean, sure, Boston doesn't care, but like a 4-5 situation kind of a deal. They got a puncher's chance in any series because of Trae. All right, I think that's it. That's going to do it. You can talk over me if you have anything else you would like to say, sir.
The week ahead is over.
It's over. It's over, as is the singing. If you would like to hear more singing, let us know at Ethos Fantasy NBA. We are quite good, as you can tell. Make sure you check out the MLB Draft Guide, the promo code B150, All-Sport All-Star. I almost got it. Rolls right off the tongue.
If you would like to hear more singing, please let us know.
If you said, I'll never listen to you guys again, also let us know. Because feedback, as they say, is extraordinarily important. And we would love to hear feedback because we're making lots of investments into the platform. We want to know which direction to take this thing. All sorts of good stuff going on right now here at Sports Ethos. The B150 for the All-Star break is out. If you're a subscriber, just go to the website, check it out. You will plunder with that list. I guarantee it. What else? The app is free. It's wonderful. It's life-changing. It's made my life so much better. I don't have to go onto social media so much for so many different things. Just go get the app at your favorite store, Google, Apple, whatever. Search Sports Ethos. It's free. It has so many goodies for you guys. And that's going to do it for us. Thank you, Andre, for putting up with us. I was going to say producing the show, but really it's putting up with us. Doc, good to see you as usual. Have fun at Johnny B's. Congratulations on the new edition. That's going to take us out. This has been Fantasy NBA Today, presented by Bet Online. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be well.